The triggers of honor. How do we trigger honor? Point number 1, honor all men. 1 Peter 2:17. How to trigger honor. Point number 1, develop the culture of honoring all men. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a time where people want to relate with people based on class. We live in times where people want to relate with people based on how beautiful or how handsome they look. We live in a time where people judge you by their looks and they choose to greet you or not. We live in times where two people are walking along the corridors of an office to get a job and one person is chosen over the other. And some of the criteria may not even be favor. It may just be our human ways of looking at people. We live in a time where you are greeting somebody, the person looks at you head to toe before answering. The Lord spoke to me to tell the church this morning, if we must enjoy double honor in this season, we must learn to honor all men. What does it take to honor all men? It takes you seeing your neighbor through the eyes of God. Show respect for all people. You cannot honor people until you can respect them. Respect is not a function of what people have achieved. Respect is a function of the fact that the person is created out of God's image just like you. There are people who treat other humans like trash. God is saying if we must enjoy double honor this month, we must learn to treat one another with respect. We must learn to treat one another with love. We must learn to treat one another with honor. This was the case in the palace. Don't forget about main text, Esther 5 and chapter 5 and chapter 6. If Haman treated Mordecai like a fellow human, that thing would not have happened. It is because in Haman's mind, only he be human, Mordecai and a beef. And that's exactly how some people relate with people. Somebody, you're going to change your attitude on how you relate with people. Respect people because they are God's images. I don't know if I'm communicating. Respect people because just like you depend on God for oxygen, they too depend on God for oxygen. If you were too different, God would have given you methane gas to use to breathe or carbon monoxide. Please learn to treat people like all of you are depending on God for oxygen. Because it's the same thing, Pam. That if God does, you will sleep straight, the other person too. I don't know if I'm communicating. No matter our levels of achievement, there is a common ground that humbles us to know that we've got to treat one another with love. Have you ever seen the way some people talk to other people? Like they're the ones that supply oxygen in the zone. That was the case with Haman. Haman felt like, that's why even when the king said somebody should be honored, he felt like it is always him. People who don't show respect and honor people always think that the only ones deserving of favors. They're too full of themselves. But in this service, it's as simple as this. One of your ways to trigger honor is learn to honor human beings, no matter their ages. Greet a small child with love. Greet your colleague with love. Greet your friend with, I don't know if I'm communicating. Greet a sister in church with love. Whether you wore high heels and they wore low heels, all of you breathe the same oxygen. Whether you parked a car, another person didn't park a car, all of you are depending on God for oxygen. You will rise in honor if you learn to respect people.